Nope, that's not the zoom either. There's a particular zoom like I'm looking for here so that I can get that background being fuzzy look that I'm trying to do. Ah, my God, I know that it's here somewhere. Ah, nope, nope, that's not it either. Shit! I had it the other day and now I don't know where it is. Damn, how annoying. Like, I was like, ooh, I'm gonna have that blurry thing in the background that just looks so cool and so pro. It's like, I know it's somewhere like super easy. Oh, wait, hold on. I know, it's this. It's this. There we go. That's it. That's what does it. It's oh yeah, that's too bright. Okay, so we're just gonna leave it as is for right now because yeah, that okay. Let's just do that instead. Hi everybody! I'm so excited today because I've got my new image, my new graphics, my new graphics are here. You can see that, and I fixed the camera, and you can see that. So now I think when I turn on the lights behind me, look at that. You can actually see them, and when I blur it up a little bit, I think it's gonna look even better. I also actually ended up finally succumbing and just putting a picture. Putting, hi LaFern. I ended up just putting a picture like of my water behind me because I was like, look, as much as I want the camera, like this is fine. I might even get like a little video and do that instead. So hold on, let me just put this here so that I can see the camera better. Fabulous. Okay. So now I think the only thing I need to figure out is moving the chat box. LaFern, can you do me a favor? Can you say some things? Because I have updated. Oh, there you go. There we go. Oh my God. Okay. Oops. Sorry. Wrong one. I need to just put that where it goes. Okay. That's the squad URL. I'm going to lock that. I'm going to lock that. I'm going to lock this. Okay. So this has got to be the chat. Where did the chat go? There we go. The chat is currently locked. That's why I can't move it. Okay. So I'm going to do that. Hi. Yeah, I know it took me a minute because I was trying to just make sure I got this stuff working first. And I did. And so I'm super happy. Cause I was really excited about today's episode because I worked so hard on there we go. There we go. Okay. There we go. Now it's where it needs to be. So I worked so hard. To like get the graphics and everything ready and like make sure that I tested out the camera. I was oh my God, I can't even tell you how excited I was for today. So I was like, I just want to get all this stuff exactly the way that I wanted it. Yay, look at that. Okay. We're really moving closer and closer to the Stop Shitting All Over Yourself podcast really becoming exactly what I want it to be. Like I'm really, really excited. Okay, so let's see. I'm so glad you can see the lights, LaFern. Oh, this is amazing. Wonderful. We're having a little bit of trouble with the light in here at the moment, so I actually had to increase the contrast. So I'm probably looking very shiny right now. I'm very, very shiny. But that's a deliberate, I actually had to make the, like, look at that. I'm practically glowing. Like, I'm like Wanda. Found you when on Manessa as Facebook profile on the live. Sweet. Okay. Alrighty. I don't even know what happened with Facebook and how it alerted you, but, I need to actually start making sure that I schedule this in advance so that it's showing up on my personal profile, on my business page. So I'm going to make that as my action item for next week. Cause every week is an iterative process. You know that all y'all have been with me from the very beginning. So you know that I used to just dive in and do, let's just do everything. And now I'm much more iterative in my process. So I'm very much more like, okay, let's just do one thing at a time. Every week I'm going to look and see what it is that I can, that I can improve and not improve. Hi, Dawn. Good to see you, my friend. So this week, I think the one area here is like the green screen over there needs to be sorted out. So that's, that's kind of funny. I think I might make this be a video instead. And I need to figure out how to I need to get a light in here of some kind. So we'll take care of those things. Hi, Katie. So good to see you today. And then I think it's time for me to put some stars back here, like a couple of decal stars, and then kind of like, do that dark shadow thing that I tend to do, like do that back here. So I can start to fill in some of these things, or might be a good space for another picture or something. So I think we're growing it, but we're really close to at least it looking the way I want it to look. So now we're moving into that next space of like, okay, I'm also figuring out the construction. So today we're going to be talking about something like really, really important that I actually thought was going to be a podcast. Then I was like, oh my God, there's just too much stuff for it to be a single podcast. So I might actually do a podcast series. And then as I started to write it, I was like, man, you know what? This is a problem we struggle with a lot. Like so many of us struggle with it at such a deep level. Like I feel like I want to talk about it, and then I want to bring in some experts, and then I want to like answer your questions, like not me answering your questions, but I want you to like tell me what the questions are, like what are the things that you ask yourself related to the stuff we're going to talk about today. And then based off of what you tell me, I'm going to figure out how to do the next several episodes where I bring in some guests and we talk about some of these things because, today we're going to be talking about money. Okay. We're talking about money. We're talking about how much money you make. We're talking about how much money you ask for. We're talking about how much money you give to people for their services or products that you buy. We're going to be talking about how to make the money that you want and why you don't make the money that you want. And this is not about like, you don't make the money that you want because you're not running ads or because you don't know your target audience or any of those things. It's not about any of that stuff. This is like, that stuff's all well and good. And we talk about that stuff a lot. But if you're going to achieve the success that you want to achieve. Hi, Cindy. Hello. Oh, is somebody sending out the text? I'm sure somebody sent out the text, right? Christy, you're here. So Christy's probably sent out the text. I'm really dehydrated. I may need to get more tea. I got my glass and I've literally already drunk it and I've been sitting here for like 6 minutes. But today we're going to talk about more like, if I'm to say to you, hey, what do you charge, right, for an hour of your time? What happens in that moment, right? That moment that I say, how much do you charge, right? Like what happens to you in that moment? Because like something happens, right? So for a lot of us, like I charge, it's only like $300, right? Like you can barely hear what somebody's saying. Or if you've decided, yeah, you know what, I'm going to ask for $250. That's what I'm going to ask. And then, and then I ask you, hey, how much do you charge? $150. I charge $150. $150, right? Like and by the way, I am not making fun of anybody who does this. This is stuff I have done. Like I am telling you, I am showing you, this is a live reenactment of Manessa being asked what her prices are. So how much do you charge? Well, I charge $150, but for you, I'll do $135. I don't even charge $150. I charge $500. Why did I say that? Oh God. Ugh. Right. Or, what do you charge? Well, I haven't actually put together my packages yet, but like, here's what I'll do. Let me send you a proposal. And then I talk for like 15 minutes about the proposal that I'm going to send and all the things that I'm going to tell you and all the stuff that's going to happen, but I can't simply give you my price. When I was selling products, I was lucky, in that I was selling products that had a minimum price that you could advertise. It made life easy in that you could only really advertise so much. But towards the end of my boutique business, I started giving away a lot of stuff. And since then I've worked with a lot of boutique owners, who have, had their own pricing where they're figuring out what their own pricing is going to be. And I remember giving away the farm to get people to buy from us. And then 2, I see a lot of people now being willing to give away the farm to get people to buy from them, or discounting like even before they've started. So like, let's say, they're like, okay, what should I charge for X? So like if they're going to charge for this dress, for example, they look like, okay, this is the wholesale cost. So I'm going to double it. And then that's going to be and then add shipping. And that's going to be my, that's how I'm going to get my profit margin. But you don't think about the time that it takes you to do it, all of the time that it takes you to do the printing and the labeling and the shipping and all of the additional costs that are associated with it. So in the end, you're really actually undercharging for a lot of the things that you could be charging more for. But this is where a lot of us find ourselves. We have a really hard time talking about money. We're not supposed to talk about money. It's considered rude. We're shy, embarrassed. There's a lot of reasons. So as I started to unpack this, I realized that we all want to be confident when it comes to talking about money. Everybody wants to be able to say, my coaching prices are $500 an hour. But if that's not in your budget, I have the Social Strategy Squad that you can sign up for $39.99, and that will help you out. I'm confident in the $500 price, and I'm confident in the $39.99 price because I know what they get in each. I know what I'm offering. I know what's happening in that space, and I'm confident saying it. But that was not always the case. As recently as, say, 6 months ago, I was hedging and I was getting anxious and nervous about anytime somebody would ask me about my prices. And then I had the misfortune, I should say, of being on the call with somebody who really opened up my eyes and made me realize that this is not just me. This is a bigger issue. And that until we as business owners and as women and as people of color or any marginalized community who has traditionally not been at the top of the hierarchy, right? And this, again, I know that I am talking about race and gender issues, but the truth of the matter is that the infrastructure that exists was put together in a certain way. and it was put together by a certain group of people, that whether it's good or bad or intentional or unintentional is not relevant. Really, honestly, I don't care about anybody's motivations. It's not relevant to my life. It's just a distraction right now. Because the thing that is relevant is, how is this impacting my life on a day-to-day basis? How do these systems, how do these ideas, how do these thoughts, how do these, the stories that I've told myself about money, right? How do those impact how much money I'm able to make? Right? That's really the only question. You take everything else out, and just the real simple question that I wanted to address was, how does the way we think about money impact our ability to make money? And what are some of the things that we can do to facilitate a change in that space? I had a very specific thing that came out of starting to write out a lot of these the outline for this podcast. So this outline is actually like 8 pages long, but we're only going to do a really small portion. I'm only going to talk about a little bit today, where I introduce this idea, bring us all on common ground, and send you off for this week with some things that you might want to do or think about that might help you to get on the road to thinking about money differently. I'm going to do 2 things. I'm going to get myself a much bigger glass of iced tea. So I'm going to leave you to look at Jason. Okay, we're going to put him here. You can look at Jason for a while. Okay, he's going to, oh no, Jason's not there. So we're going to put Jason here. Oh, you know what? I think Jason can sit here. Okay, that's not it. We're going to sit Jason here. Okay, here's Jason. Okay, I'm going to leave Jason here for a minute. Okay, Jason's there. He's going to be hosting the podcast for a second. And I'm going to go get my iced tea and possibly bring the jug here because I'm extremely thirsty. So Jason, talk to them. Tell them all the things about Aquaman. Okay. Are you kidding me right now? Oh my gosh. All right, I'm back. This is what happens if you have salad early in the morning, everybody. You get super thirsty. But note how I don't have a headache today. Isn't that amazing? That's why I did it. I'm like, you know what? I'm done with this no more wake and bacon shit. So I got up and now my headache isn't even there. Yay! Okay. Alrighty. Of all the babysitters, this is the best one I've had. I know. Thanks, Jason. Mwah. All right. Off we go. Don't tell Alex. Okay. So let's see what we have here, and then we're going to dive right in. Oh, by the way, in the meantime, don't forget, as I'm looking at all of this stuff, make sure that you're sharing this with your friends, because money mindset is not something that is unique to business owners. Money mindset is a thing that we all struggle with. Get it in the feeds of your business owner friends, anyone that you think might benefit from talking about how much they charge. Dude, I was looking to see if he did cameos. I was going to have him do a cameo for the squad. Basically, you know, like I just haven't, and I was going to do it for the launch, but then I realized I don't like launching. So we're going to figure something out, but I want to actually get celebrities to do cameos. Like, I just want to pay for a cameo a month. I just think of it. I need something for them to say. So like, it's weird for me to just go and do it. So like, if you guys want to tell me who you want a cameo from and what you wanted to say, I will reach out to, I will buy the cameo and because I think it'd be hysterical. I think it'd be super fun. Okay, so did you come up with this topic from the message I sent about my pricing? Cindy, actually, you know what's funny is that it was one of the things. Yes, it was definitely one of the things, but it wasn't the only thing. I came up with this. I'm going to tell you the story as I realized this was going to be a longer podcast. I realized I was going to then switch it into like a bunch of smaller podcasts. I'm now able to tell a little bit more of the story than I wanted to, because I think it's really helpful, because I think you guys will relate a lot to the characters. I say characters in the story like I'm going to be reading a novel, but like the characters in this story. Once upon a time. Okay. Alrighty. Depends on what it is, but I have a horrible time feeling comfortable asking for what I should, which is why I stopped making big cakes. Sorry about that. People wanted Cake Boss cakes for Costco prices. Okay. So Sophia, this whole series is going to be so helpful for you, because I actually think, because I know you really well, I think that you have brought a lot of that with you even now. Like, and I'm sure you know this already. Like, this isn't, you're going to be like, yes, Manessa, I know this. Thank you. But I think you've brought a lot of that with you now. And then this podcast series is especially for you. Because I think that what it's going to help you to do is see how these little things that have happened in our past create these behavior patterns where we are now preventing us from demanding what we want, being the alpha in money, because we have these belief systems inside. When I was selling LuLaRoe, I always had a hard time charging full price. I think it's because after I totaled their order, I was the one with sticker shock. Dude, I'm so glad you brought that up. Actually, I want to make a note about that because I actually meant to make a note about this before and I didn't, is don't shop from your wallet. There's actually a quote about it, like, don't set your prices based off your wallet or something. Don't shop from your, I don't know exactly what the term is, which is why I didn't include it in this, but I will include it next time because it's actually a really good quote about that exactly. Yeah, so it's going to be a series. Alrighty. We're going to invite, I know Alex would completely understand. Cindy said, that was weird. When you said you were back, it sounded like you were behind me. Maybe I was. He does randomly do pop-ins. So then we should start tagging him in our social stop shitting all over yourself stuff. Like, especially today's, we should definitely, I think that, when you do the video and do all the stuff that you do, that needs to absolutely get pulled out as like a little 30-second thing. Then we can all tag Jason Momoa and see if he'll show up in one of our stop shitting all over yourselves. Okay. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about money. Alrighty. So, for those of you that do not know, this is a live recording of a podcast. So what I do is, and my husband is not here. So the fact that he's not here means my door is open and the dogs are running around. So there may be chaos. Who knows? This is what happens when you live with 3 dogs. However, the way this is going to work is first I'm going to clap my hands. I'm going to go onto my notes screen and I'm going to do the podcast part. Then I'm not going to be able to see the comments at that time. But while I'm doing the podcast, because this is going to be a series, I'm going to, whatever your questions are, like a lot of the questions that I just gave you a quick response for, I'm going to come back to in later series because these are exactly the reasons why I knew we would need more than one. I'm also going to bring on Amy Crean and Miriam Ortiz. I'm going to have them on separately. And they're also going to be guest training in the squad to talk about money mindset and actual practical steps that you can take. So if you are, while we're doing this and you're listening, if you're like, oh my God, I really want to take action right now, the link to the squad is up at the top. It is manessa.com/squad. There was one other thing. Oh yeah. So ask any questions you have. When the podcast is over, I'm going to come back and then I'll look at all your questions and then we will converse and discuss. I have a hard stop today, but we will come back for Q&A. Okay. Alrighty. Okay. Alrighty. Let us start with the podcast. Okay. Hello. I am Manessa Konecki. I am the business strategist for misfit entrepreneurs who want to build their business their way. Over the last 25 years, I've worked with businesses in crisis to help them get back on track. And there is no crisis like trying to figure out how to do something your own way. The hardest part of me when I was doing things my own way and breaking the mold was letting go of the way that I thought I was supposed to do things and what people told me was appropriate and trying to figure out what worked for me so that I could do what I thought was right. It's a little bit bigger. My eyesight is not what it used to be. I decided that I wanted to approach business a new way. And as I was going through that journey, I learned a lot. And so I started this podcast to bring you along on the journey of all the things that I stopped shitting myself about along the way and to invite you to do the same, because once you stop shitting all over yourself, you'll find that you have a lot more joy, you have a lot more freedom, and a lot more money. Now, speaking of money, that is today's topic, and possibly the topic for the next few weeks, which possibly has now become for sure, is going to be all about money. How much you ask for, how much you get, how it makes you feel, and how all the things related to making money as a business owner in your belief systems impact your actual ability to make money on the practical level. Because that's why we actually got into business in the first place, which is to make money doing something that we loved. And yet, one of the things that I struggled most with over the last several years is how to ask for the sale, or how to ask for money, or how to ask for the amount of money that I want to ask for, that I know inside I can't ask for, but am I really worth it? No matter what I offer, no matter who I'm talking to, I cannot seem to get the words out. Like, I mean, I can now, but for years I couldn't. It was such a struggle. And I know that you know what I'm talking about, because the second someone asks you, you freeze up, you word vomit, you tell them all of the things except for the actual price, you immediately discount yourself. And when you're sitting in your bedroom thinking about your product, you feel so good. But the second you go to put money on it, you cringe. If it's a product, you spent hours agonizing over pricing structures and what you should charge to make sure that it's exactly right. As a coach, you get caught up in the disgusting ball of like value judgment where you're trying to put a dollar amount on the services you offer, and you live in terror of someone coming back and saying, well, you didn't give me this and I didn't get this and I didn't get those results. Because we haven't yet figured out the fact that in order for coaching to work, someone has to be invested and be doing the work, right? We'll talk about how much we can help and how much we want to change the world with like fevered passion. But when it comes to actually saying our prices, we will cringe and hide in a corner and talk in small whispers, and we cannot get those words out. Now, when I was starting out, I had very little confidence in the transformation that I offered, even though I knew I changed lives. Like literally I had messages and PMs and emails from people telling me how I changed their lives. I've talked to people, right? And frankly, honestly, when I think about it, I'm always very clear to say, I didn't change your life. I gave you the information and you did the things to change your life, because that's very important to remember about coaching. I have to pause and say that, is that I only give you the tools. That's all any coach does. They either give you tools that work with the way that your mind works and the way that you think and the way that you grow, or they don't. And if they don't, often those relationships can be very unpleasant. If they do, and the two mesh, then it can be a very, very, very beautiful relationship. But in the end, even with that beautiful relationship, it is a relationship and it requires both those people, right? But for me, I felt at the time that the responsibility was all on me. I had to do all the work. I had to be the one. And if they didn't get the transformation, it was all my fault, right? And even though I had the feedback to tell me and the evidence to show me that I had an impact on people's lives, I had messages from people saying they left abusive husbands, they'd started new businesses, they'd taken up new hobbies, and were finding incredible new opportunities and ways to make money. I still doubted myself. And everyone around me could see this. It's amazing how many people have been telling me for years, some of them who are going to be guests on this show, telling me these things, literally word for word. Vanessa, you were not charging enough. Vanessa, you need to charge more. I just didn't have the self-confidence to be able to do it because I was still caught up in my own ball of trauma-induced self-esteem problems, and I had so many money mindset issues. And that's where a lot of us find ourselves. We're business owners who have a lifetime of belief systems behind us. So making a decision about how much we should charge for what we offer, regardless if it's sorry. Let's try that one again, shall we? Okay. We're business owners who have a lifetime of belief systems behind us, and making a decision about how much we should charge for what we offer, regardless of if it's a product, a service, or truthfully, sorry, my screen blackened out. Okay, this particular section is cursed. This is cursed. Okay, take three. Three's a charm, guys. Third time's a charm. Okay, We're business owners who have a lifetime of belief systems behind us, and making a decision about how much we should charge for what we offer, regardless of if it's a product, a service, or truthfully, even when you're asking for a raise at work, has a lot more to do with what's happening in here, right, than the actual action or having the words to say. There's a lot going on in here that we need to deal with first. We bring all of these into those conversations, and as a result, not only do we not know what to ask for, we also don't know how to ask for what we want. We don't want to get laughed out of the room, okay? So that's the key here. We don't want to get laughed out of the room. And I'm actually going to have a whole podcast on the getting laughed out of the room part, because the more I've actually found more success with that technique than any other technique, which is strange. But that's the worst thing, because when we think about getting laughed out of the room, what we hear is if you're like, I'm charging $500 an hour, okay, right? That is a huge blow to our self-esteem. We think, oh my God, I'm not worth that. I'm ridiculous. I'm not charging enough. We immediately start to doubt ourselves even more. And rather than go through that pain spiral, it's just easier to undercharge. So if I don't think I can get 500, or I think you're going to laugh me out of the park, I'm going to say, well, okay, 150 to 125, right? And I'm going to do whatever it takes to get you to buy in, because now I'm using that purchase, that you buying from me, as a validation of my value, right? This is what I'm worth. That's very, very challenging. So I gotta be honest, our relationship with money is kind of fucked up. It really is. And while I was putting together the notes on this podcast, I realized that there was so much more to unpack, that I am going to bring on some money mindset guests. But for today, I really just want to get the conversation going. And please, if you have specific questions about money, charging your worth, or anything related to it, please ask. You can go back to the live version of this on the Facebook business page. You can email us at hello@manessa.com. But please ask whatever questions you have, and I will find the answers or bring somebody to talk to us about the answers to kind of help us work through some of these issues. Because until we kind of massage out these knots, you're going to have trouble making the money that you want because you're not asking for what you want. Now, it all started, like this whole conversation for me actually started because if you think about it, we've been in this space for a long time. I've been in this space for a long time. So what changed? Like what happened that made me go, wait, we should probably be talking about this? And what it was I reached a point where I realized that I want to be a speaker. I want to be on podcasts. I want to be on stages. Like, I really believe strongly about this idea of not shitting all over yourself and hustle proofing your life. And I want to get that message out there, and I'm restructuring my whole business to allow for that change, right? To where I have a team who helps reinforce the ideas and helps work people through the various processes and tools that I have, but that I'm the one out there getting the message out because I think it's important. I know it's important for us to release ourselves of that burden of shoulding in order to be happy, right? So I reached out to a friend of mine who is in PR, and I wanted to hire her to do PR for me. So, but I didn't really know like what, I didn't know what I was doing. Like, I know a lot more now, but I knew nothing about what I was doing then. So I reached out to her and I asked if I could hire her to talk about this. So my intention was to hire her, and the response that I got back was actually heartbreaking. She said, "I'm so sorry. I can't afford to do any more favors for friends." And she's like, I would love to. And she redirected me to someone else. And that was fine. It was not a problem at all. But the reason that my heart broke was that this is somebody that I know has represented some really big names, like names you'd know, right? Like lots of names you'd know. Like, this is someone who I consider to be at the top of her field. And she must get a lot of people asking for her time for free for her to have said that. Because I also know her. She's very kind and a wonderful person, loves to help people. Like, so for that to happen, she must have really felt underappreciated and like, God, like, I worked really hard to become good at this. Like, this is my expertise. Why do you want me to do for free what other people will pay me thousands of dollars for, right? I didn't, but that's not the point. The point is that we as a society have gotten to that point where so many of us feel that's the case, right? I get asked for people to pick my brain like all the time, right? And I said yes all the time for so long because I didn't understand the value. I didn't recognize the value of what I had, so I was just giving it away for free. And in the end, I was burning myself out and wasn't really able to show up the way that I wanted to. But it made me realize that this powerful woman, strong woman, feels undervalued. And then I started to notice it a lot more, right? So like, now that she'd opened my eyes, I'm looking around and I realized as I'm talking to people in my community and my audience and my other groups that I'm involved in and my other coaches, right? Just running the gamut. Here's what I found. Okay. This has been happening so much in the last 6 months. Like, it started, my mind was triggered last November, and I have been observing this ever since. Intimacy, mindsets, spiritual and life coaches charge $50 to $75 an hour to transform your confidence. Okay. They literally transform your confidence. They give you tools that change your life, help you make 10 times more money, have a better sex life, better relationships, happier. Charging $50 to $75 for that transformation, a lifetime of joy, like with the tools that you can go back to. That is so, and I know the value that I got out of the work that I did with them. And I'm like, why are you charging so little? There's the website designer who quoted $3,000 to build a website, but who then ended up doing the entire course management system, the entire email setup, the entire business strategy on the entire system. She did all of that. And when you actually bring out to like the hourly rate, You're looking at $10 an hour for the white glove service that she offers, undervaluing herself, so undercharging. The boutique owner who was giving away so much product that when she did the math at the end of the month, she realized she wasn't even making a profit. The crafter who kept undercutting herself before she even posted her products online, who, by the way, when challenged to post her products online for twice the amount of whatever she thought it was, because that was the challenge, she ended up getting that and getting like enough orders to get her on a wait list, to create a wait list for all of her products. That's how much raising her prices worked for her. But she was afraid to simply ask for the value of the blood, sweat, and tears that she had put into whatever she created, because she thought, well, I've just created this. It's not worth much. I'm not going to charge that much. No, charge more because you made it. You get the point here. These are just a few examples of the people who are charging significantly less than they could be and are making less money as a result. And I want you, as you're listening to this, to think to yourself about how this may be showing up in your business right now. It's probably going to show up in acute moments, or in, when somebody asks you for a price, or when you're sitting down to set a price, or when you're figuring out what your profit margin is. Those are the kinds of spaces where you're probably going to start to feel that discomfort about money. Now, here's the thing. So many people come to me saying that they need more customers. So many people. What many of them don't realize is that they could probably make more money if they just charged a fair price for their products or services. And here's the thing. Fair price is what I'm saying. I'm not even suggesting crazy amounts of money, though you can and you should charge crazy amounts of money. But I'm just saying, start by charging a fair price. Like if exorbitant, crazy amounts of money you're not ready for, start by charging a fair price and be mindful of the fact that what you think is fair is probably undercutting you. Okay. That alone will be enough to increase your profit margin. So let's talk a little bit about this. Why do we undercharge? Right? Why do we do that? There is a lot to unpack. And again, we're going to go through this. There's many more days of this conversation happening, because I think, again, we need to be able to work through this and talk about money in an easy alpha way. First is, we're constantly taught to undervalue ourselves from birth. And if you're a woman or a person of color, you had it so much worse. We don't know how to self-promote without sounding braggy, because there's nothing worse than being perceived as arrogant. Okay. You don't want to be arrogant, right? This is what we're told. This is not my belief. We judge ourselves so harshly against our peers and ourselves, usually opting to put ourselves lower on in the hierarchy. I have less value. They're doing so much more, because of this learned behavior. Many of you will remember hearing this. My grandma used to say this to me all the time. Don't get too big for your britches, right? And I still hear her voice in my brain telling me not to get too big for my britches. When I said that I wanted to be a speaker and be on stages, that's the voice that came into my mind immediately. Don't get too big for your britches. Who are you to get on a stage? Right? That's the money mindset thing. That it comes right, woof. It happens so fast because we are programmed into it. And also, we're judged way more harshly than men. There's a lot more rules around what women should or shouldn't do, can or can't do, how they are perceived. And again, if you're a woman of color, there's a whole nother set of things that you need to consider in terms of how you are perceived, right? And so you take all of those things into consideration when you're figuring out how to ask for your prices, instead of simply just demanding the price that you deserve, and all that other stuff be damned. Sometimes it's because we don't even understand the reason why someone wants us in the first place, right? This is a big one, because so many of us, and this comes back to like when we were younger, right? In jobs, right? We were always made to feel like you're lucky to have a job. How often has that, you're lucky to have a job? We need to get out of that mindset of we're lucky to have a job, because the truth of the matter is the employers are lucky to have us doing the job, because the company can't run without us. Right? This is so important. So many of the most brilliant women that I know, brilliant people that I know, actually, not just women, brilliant people that I know, they tend to think that they're the ones who are lucky to have a job, that they're grateful for every raise they get. They do not realize that this is a business transaction. You are doing good work to get the money that you're getting, and you deserve more. I guarantee it. No matter what you're getting, you deserve more. Okay. We're also sometimes it's because we're coming from a very me-centric place. Okay. And I know this sounds weird, that it's hard to ask for more money when you're coming from a me-centric place, and that how I need to make money or how I need to pay bills, right? Like, okay, so if I need to make money and I need to pay bills, why would I not ask for more money? Aha, here's how that happens. What happens is so if you are trying to pay, I need money, I need to pay my bills here, you need to buy the thing from me, then it sounds almost like in your head, you're phrasing it like it's a favor, right? You're doing this for me, so this is a favor for me. So we think, okay, everything that I'm saying is going to be about, how you, the customer, can help me buy this product because it's amazing and it's got this price, right? But so we think that, okay, if someone's going to do us a favor, we need to ask for the bare minimum that we think someone's willing to do us this favor so that we have money to pay our bills, right? Which goes back to that mindset belief that someone is doing you a favor when they're giving you money. They're not doing you a favor. This is literally a business transaction. I am doing work and you are giving me money, or I am asking you for a product and you're giving me money. That's it. It's a transaction, emotionless transaction. Sometimes it's because you don't want to draw attention to yourself. For a lot of us, for me especially if you are a trauma survivor, or if you are someone who suffers from a chronic illness, or is someone who is neurodivergent, or just generally tends to be a misfit or a weirdo like me, right? And I say weirdo because that's how we grew up feeling, okay? I don't think anything, I actually like being weird. I think it's amazing. I think it's super fun. But as a result, a lot of us try to blend into the wallpaper. And so we're used to just doing things and hoping that people will notice. I'm doing a really good job. My boss is going to notice, and then I'm going to get the raise. Nope, you just get the same 2% raise you get every year. Or just do what you're doing and someone will notice. Or if you keep showing up and just keep posting your products and keep doing the thing, then eventually someone's going to buy from you. That's all you need to do. Just keep showing up, and someone will buy from you eventually. And honestly, the truth is it takes truly exceptional people to either notice someone who is trying really hard not to be noticed. And a lot of business owners try really hard not to be noticed while at the same time they're trying to show off their products a lot. And those two things compete with each other because you really want people to buy your product, but your self-esteem issues get in the way. So you don't really want them to notice you. And so you don't want them to highlight. So you don't want to highlight yourself. And as a result, you're not highlighting the things you and your customer have in common. And now you don't want to say your prices, right? Because you don't want to raise your prices because now you're still trying to figure out they're doing you a favor. So these things all come together to create a situation in which we are afraid to ask for the money that we want. And the biggest problem is the societal pressures. And this is the one that we're actually going to have a whole podcast on because it is a really big deal. The societal pressures that we have upon us in terms of money are so critical in terms of how we talk about money. Because first things first, how do you talk about money? You don't, because it's rude. You do not talk about money. People do not talk about money. Well, you know who says that? Is people who have money. People who have money don't need to talk about money because for them, they can afford to hire people or they have enough to where if something goes wrong, they have a buffer for themselves. So the people who started that conversation were the people who had money. Now it's permeated our whole society and everybody thinks you're not supposed to talk about money, right? But you know who actually does talk about money is the people who have money, right? So now what happens is the people who have money are always talking about money. They talk about money all the time. They read the books about money. They talk to each other about money. They have financial analysts. They deal with a lot of money all the time. They're talking about it because they have it and they want to keep it. They have regular meetings with their finance advisors. But we who are not with all the money, okay, we still have that philosophy of not talking about money. And a lot of companies have it in their policies that say you can't talk about your salary with someone else. Here's the thing. You can talk about your salary with whoever the hell you want. So if you're talking to me and you and I are colleagues and you and I share salary information, we can do that. The reason why people don't want you to do that is because they don't want you to find out that you're getting paid a lot less than Sally, who sits next to you, who has 4 years less experience and is carrying half your workload. Okay. Those are the things that they don't want you to know. And so that is why it is written into the corporate infrastructure, because if people knew how much everybody was being paid, then they would demand more money. And if they demanded more money, then that decreases the profit margin, right? None of this is being done maliciously, but it is really important to recognize that whether we like it or not, there are systems and societal pressures in place that influence how we show up and how we talk about money. Okay? So, right. The other thing that I wanted to say is that if you're in my community, in the squad, I'll talk to you about money. You can ask me the questions you want to know and I will talk to you about it, right? Because I am not afraid to share what I've made, how I got here, what my mistakes were, how I see my business, because this is how we learn. You'll look at how I do it. You're like, God, I can't stand the way she does it. That did not work for me. But now you know what won't work for you, which means you can eliminate that as an idea. You'll take the things about my way that'll work for you, pull those out, and then start feeling empowered to talking to other people about money, so you can start to build what your perspective on money is, right? But if you never have that first conversation, you never know that it's okay to talk about money, and you will be afraid to, which means you won't be willing to have the conversations that are necessary for you to demand what you want. The other reason why we don't like to talk about money is because we don't want to face the big hairy monster, which is very scary. And the big hairy monster is, oh my God, what if I'm failing? And that is a whole nother ballgame, and we will also talk about that because that needs its own podcast. That is actually just sign up for the squad and we'll deal with it in there, because not wanting to deal with the big hairy monster is a money mindset issue, major money mindset issue. And I have 2 money mindset coaches we're going to bring on to the podcast to talk about that specifically. So we're going to table that one for right now. Okay. So what do we do with this information? Okay, so here's what I want you to do with this information. We're going to stop with that for today, and we're just going to go into what is the next thing, okay? So what I want you to do to start is, you're not going to overcome your own money mindset. Well, first things first, what I want you to do is know this. I'm going to pay for your time, okay? So I'm constantly giving away freebies, but the more I see about how my time is abused by people who just don't even show up to appointments that they make, right? The more it makes me realize that I am not a good judge of who is invested in the service and who is not, right? So me saying I'm going to give you free time that you don't even show up to, that I show up to, that ain't cool, right? But the more that that's happened, and that has happened a surprising amount in the last, like, say, you know, I don't do it anymore, but it's happened a surprising amount, like, say, towards the end of last year, which is when I decided to stop doing it, was that I realized that people will not value my time. They don't understand what they're going to get. Everyone who talks to me after these sessions understands exactly what they need to do in their business, where to go, where their resources are. And sometimes the resources aren't even with me. It doesn't matter. The point is they know what to do and where to go. So if you don't want that for free, right, you have to start thinking like that yourself as well, right? When somebody offers you something for free, you need to tell them, listen, I'll pay you if you can. I know that some people can't. And if you can't, that's okay too, right? In that case, I want you to acknowledge, I realize that your time has a lot of value. I appreciate the fact that you're willing to do this, because that is what somebody is doing. They're saying my expertise has value. I am giving it to you for free. It is appropriate to acknowledge that by saying thank you, because they basically just given you a $500 discount, right? That is such an important thing. And also show up. Okay. Show up. If you make an appointment for free with somebody, for the love of baby Jesus, show up, because it is really disrespectful not to. The second thing, if you are someone who is being paid, okay, who is being paid for your time or being paid for your product, yes, say thank you, because it's only polite. But at the same time, do not go overboard and say thank you so much. I'm so honored. You are saving my family. You are doing this. I'm so appreciative. All of this stuff, because you are providing a service that has value and they are giving you money. Much like the job transaction we were talking about earlier, it's just, here is the money, here is the service. Of course, you want to add common courtesy into it, but there is no need to be ingratiated to someone who is giving you money for a service or a product you're providing, okay? This is a huge, huge issue. We deal with it all the time, okay? So let's just talk right now. We're going to leave you with your money mind, like what you want to do after this podcast, okay? Because you're not going to overcome your own money mindset issues overnight. This takes time. So that's kind of why I wanted to do this as a conversation more than a one-off podcast, because it is a lot to unpack. So for now, I want to start you off slow, getting comfortable with the idea of money. All right. And I know that sounds silly, but the truth is you aren't comfortable with it. Right. And that may mean that you listen to a couple of people on TikTok. You follow me on Instagram, and I'll share some people over the next couple of weeks. There's no need for you to dive in and do all the things right away to fix your money mindset. Slow and steady, dude. Slow and steady, dude. It took me 45 years to get here. Okay. 40 something years to get here. It doesn't take long to overcome it when you consider how long it took you to get to where you're at. But you got to go slow. If you try to go fast, you're going to burn yourself out. You're going to disappoint yourself, and your expectations are just not going to be able to match what our little bodies are able to do. Our bodies can only do so much, right? Check out Headspace. There's going to be a link in the show notes. They have a great special series on money mindset. Just meditating to that will be enormously helpful. And I want you to start with those things. They may seem like really small steps, and maybe you want to do something more tangible, like really do something. If you want to really, really do something, then go to manessa.com/squad, join the social strategy squad, and join us. We're going to be talking about money this month. And then in July, we will dive even deeper and get super practical about charging, asking for your value, money mindset, so like with your tangible activities for you to do these things. But for now, I want you to sit in the space and reflect on this, okay? You do not have to feel this way about money forever. And the answer to making more money and attaining the freedom that comes with it starts with challenging the ideas that we absorbed and internalized as we grew up and replacing them with healthier and more productive belief systems. These initial steps that we're talking about today, these lay the foundation for everything else that you do, and it's going to make life that much easier. Think about it like lube, okay? Here's the thing. More lube, more better. More money mindset work, more better. Okay. Seriously, ultimately that's the case. By the way, I did this on the other fireside chat that I started talking about lube randomly, and I went over to the table and pulled it, and Roxanne was like, I can't believe you have lube just right there. And I was like, dude, I don't have kids. I was like, there's lube in literally every drawer in every room in this house. Don't open the drawers if you come to my house. All right. Okay. So that is the end of the podcast. On that note, we're going to snap because I have my iced tea. Let's come back here and see what we got. Okay. Okay. Alrighty. Of all the babysitters I had. Okay. Yep. Okay. Sophia, Dawn says, Sophia Ray Bishop, I totally get that. People have no idea the work and time that goes into baking cakes. Yep. And so we're going to actually talk about that. I have a whole section on pushback and dealing with pushback. That's actually something, as I was starting to pull things out, and I wanted to talk about it today, but I was like, you know what? I think dealing with pushback needs to be and that may actually be more of a conversation. Oh my God, I'm so glowy. That might actually be more of a conversation because what I want to know is what are some of the pushback things that you guys hear? What are the ones that you're afraid of? Send me messages. We'll get that going. Okay. Alrighty. I think not getting raises when you ask and know you should be when you're an employee also feeds into the not feeling worthy as a business owner. So many jobs running other people's businesses where I should have been paid way more than $13 an hour. Sophia, absolutely. When your boss doesn't give you, so if you're listen, I want this, and your boss is no, and then you're okay, well, I'm not worth, you assume your boss knows what you're worth, and so you immediately feel like you're worth less, even though you know that you're not, right? Because now you're feeling gaslit because you've got to work through that shit. You were absolutely right. You bring that into business. And the truth of the matter is one of the reasons why a lot of people will stay in those positions goes back to the self-esteem issues, right? Because I'm working with a client on this right now. She is getting paid way, way less than she needs to. So she's getting paid 60 something thousand dollars an hour right now. And she really should be getting paid 85 or 90. And so, she went in to ask for a raise. And that's one of the things we were working through together is how to have those conversations and what to say and that kind of thing, fully knowing that they're going to reject that. But part of the conversation is about recognizing the value that you have and understanding the leverage that you have that you can go anywhere else. But you have to have confidence that you can go anywhere else in order to be able to hold your ground with this other place, right? So if you're I know I can go anywhere else, and you go in and you say, listen, I want $95,000, and they're no, you're okay, you better find somebody to fill my position because I'm leaving, right? You're taking all of that institutional information with you. You're taking all of your history with you. Replacing you is hard. We're going to talk about this extensively in another, we're definitely going to dive deep into this because this is something I have a real hard on for this. Seriously, women, people not getting paid what they're worth right now is I got a bone to pick on that one, man. I'm just gonna sit and chew on it forever, just here. Okay, this is gonna be great for bloopers. I just think today is just blooper central. This glowy face shit. I literally feel like I took a bath in radioactive materials right now. I need to get a light in here that just I don't even know what the fuck's happening here. Okay, okay, for sure. I remember grateful that the rest. Sophia said, I remember feeling grateful that the restaurants allowed me to take tables, right? So you could make tip money. Exactly. I need a script for when people try to bargain with me on packages. Yes, absolutely. Okay, that's fabulous. I love that, Katie. Love it. For you, I'm going to say put it in a sauna. But yes, we'll definitely do that. Okay. Sophia, so many times I asked for a raise and told I wasn't doing a good enough job, even though you can prove I'm exactly. Dawn, this is the shit. You guys, what you're talking about right now, this is the shit that gets me. When I was younger, now that I'm I feel like something happened in the last, I don't know, 6 months, but whatever happened in the switch inside me, I never had the confidence to talk about these things before. I knew it all was all there, but I never felt the way that I do about it right now. And I think the reason why is because it's fine if it was just me. But now that I see that this is a universal thing and that this is so much is rooted in this, I'm pissed. Like, I'm mad for us, right? And I'm like, okay, the best way to overcome this, I'm not going to be able to deal with it on every corporation, on every corporate level. The best way to overcome this is to help put people in the right direction, give you the resources for the people that I know can help you to move in that space. So I'm just starting the conversation here, but over the course of the next several, weeks, and of course, if you just follow me in general, we keep it going until, we kind of take that stepping. Each of us takes the steps to get higher and higher until we're like, okay, I feel like I'm ready to fly now. I don't need that, here, take the feather. I don't need it. Oh, wait, I never need the feather at all. Ta-da! I know, punchline. Spoiler alert. Okay. All right, what else do we got? Let's see. Okay. Alrighty. Black shirt is making my face glow. Well, no, it's also the, wait. Oh, Katie said, damn it. This is what happens. My ear, I got a pressure thing in my ear right now. I'm like, okay. So, all right, I can already see the things that I want to fix on this screen and the things that I need to fix for the light. So those are two situations that need to be fixed. I mean, it's really gloomy outside, so it makes perfect sense. But honestly, I am loving this new setup. Aside from the glowingness, there's a couple things I want to fix, but I think the image is a little bit big, but we're good. I have a really great outline for the Stop Shitting All Over Yourself. I'm so excited for what's coming up. We're actually adding on a Stop Shitting All Over Yourself interview series where I'm going to be working with or talking to and interviewing people, business owners, people with jobs. I call them people with jobs, but just people in general, about the things that they shit all over themselves for and how they overcame it and what lessons they learned. So I want to hear your stories. I don't you're hearing my story, but my story is just one. And I know there are so many other stories out there. So if you have a story, you're like, I used to feel this way. And it doesn't have to have anything, literally, I'm not asking for a story that has to do with me. I mean, in your life, you're like, I felt this way. I learned this, I overcame it. And now this is the lesson I carry with me. That's what I want to talk to you about, right? I want to share your stories, your journeys. Or if you're a coach or someone who specializes in working with people through overcoming some of these things so that we can move on to the other side, I want to interview you about what is it that you see the problem being? How do you solve it? How do you help people? Well, it's an interview series. It's a conversation. I will coax everything out of you. But really what I want to do is start to fill the feed with more stories of people who have overcome this belief, whatever shoulding they had of themselves of any kind. I want to share those stories because my story resonates with some people, but the more stories we have, the more people will be able to resonate with, and the more people will be able to let go of some of that shame and anxiety and the shoulding and feel confident. So together we can help people build their steps. So that's where I see this community going. I see this community going to a space where it becomes together we create the steps for everyone to walk up so that we can stop shitting all over ourselves as a team, as an army of people, not as individuals doing it in our own little silos, because we have power in numbers and we have confidence in numbers. Okay, so I am super, super excited about all of this. I am now going to run to my meeting. I am 1 minute. I'm so good on this one. I really also need to do something with my hair. I'll see you guys same time, same